All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another edition of the Global Reality. This is the November 15th, 2016 edition of the show. Thank you very much here for being with us. And I wanted to be here more than I have recently, but last week, towards the end of last weekend, and into the weekend and this week, we had internet issues again. We've been plagued with that since we moved into our new studio. We got a new modem router whatnot thing delivered today, so it's working good now. So hopefully we'll be back up and running here without any issues. So please be patient and bear with us as we work through these things. This stuff like that, it's beyond your control. It's frustrating because especially when when you want to do stuff, and you want to put out shows, and it's been really, really frustrating for me. So, but I'm here with you now. And we've got a jam-packed news broadcast for you here on the show this evening. Hope you're doing well. My website is theglobalreality.com. It's theglobalreality.com. You can go there and find all of my work, all my documentary films, the archives for this show. All the stuff is there. If you're looking for the download shop, that's where you should hit. If you're a new listener, if you're somebody who's just recently found my work and started listening, then welcome. And we're not putting all the shows on YouTube. We're putting partial shows and some full shows. So if you want to stay current with all of the shows and get them before anybody else, go to my website, theglobalreality.com, hit the subscribe button there on the top right-hand side of the page. Get yourself a membership. You can do by the month. It's $10 a month, or you can do by the year, $80 for the year. And you can see all the packages we have there, so you can stay current with all the radio shows and all the broadcasts we do. We're going to be adding more content to that for our subscribers. We're going to be adding exclusive video content for that. A lot of the stuff we're doing right now is kind of the beginning stages of this. I've kind of slowly been working through this for a while. And once we're to that point, then we'll start doing more of that and having more exclusive stuff. But again, I'm just a one-man operation. I do all this, every aspect of this myself. So a lot of this, video effects, editing, and all this different stuff, it's kind of stuff I've never done before, and I'm trying to expand and be able to bring more shows. That's why I'm doing the music show now, and I do the Let There Be Rock stuff. So I'm wanting to branch out, and we're wanting to add some other shows and whatnot, but just going to take time for us to do it. And we've got to have your financial support to be able to do that. So get a membership, get some downloads, make a contribution to our donate button and our fundraisers there at my website. You can find all those there at theglobalreality.com and on our Facebook page for the Global Reality Radio Network. Go to Facebook, type in the Global Reality Radio Network. Like us there on Facebook. We also have one, Josh Reeves, filmmaker, talk show host, explorer. Both of those are our pages. We also have one for Let There Be Rocks. We have one for Lost Secrets of Ancient America. But the two main ones are the Global Reality Radio Network and the Josh Reeves, filmmaker, talk show host, explorer page. You can find all of our current fundraisers and stuff we have, like what our goals are and what we have immediate goals. You can always check over there, and I post different things, so that's the best way to find that stuff. All of our fundraisers are up there right now. We're having one for the Spellcasters Volume 2. My goal has been to get both of these films out this year so I can move on to other projects next year. And we need your help to stay on course. We only have one day left in our fundraiser for this. And we actually have started to make some headway. So we need some other people to chip in now. We've got, you got to understand, folks, like the Lost Secrets of Ancient America films, those were huge budget films because we had to travel all over the place. For the impact that we've had and are going to continue to have with these Spellcasters films and how much they cost, it's just ridiculous. We have a total of $2,000 goal for this film. We've raised $606 so far, and we have only one day left, less than 24 hours. So the reason we have to have this in this amount of time is because the goal that I've set is to have this film out by New Year's. And the only way that we can keep that is if we get, well, we need to at least have, I would say 500 to 600 in the next 24 hours. If we get that in the next 24 hours, we could extend this for another 2 weeks, 2 to 3 weeks to raise the other 1,000 that we need. So, $500 in the next 24 hours would save us, or actually would buy us 2 weeks time. And then we wouldn't need to raise the entire 1,400 we have left in the next 24 hours. So at minimum, we need to raise that at least 500 in the next 24 hours. And we've got lots of great perk packages there you can check out. And I'll put links here so you can find this. We have perks for the $100 level. We have perks for the $200 level. We have perks for the $500 level and perks for the $1,000 level. If somebody came in at that $1,000 level, you get a huge, huge prize pack there. That would be fantastic. And also, or if somebody came in at the $500 level. But in the next 24 hours, everybody that comes in at the $100 level will be automatically upgraded to the $200 perk level. So, 5 people, if we had 5 people donate $100 in all 5 of those, really, well, if we got more than that, everybody would, but everybody who donates $100 to the Spellcasters Volume 2 fundraiser in the next 24 hours will automatically be upgraded to the $200 perk level, and it would only take 5 people to do that. So please act now and help us get this goal achieved, because essentially what I want to do is, if we get this in the next 24 hours, then I will bring everything else to a fucking screeching halt for the next 2 weeks. I'll still do shows and updates and stuff like that, don't worry. But I'm going to really just, for the next 2 weeks, plow through and get all the writing done for Spellcasters 2. And then I'll take the entire month of December and piece it all together and edit it and get it all put out in hopes of getting the downloads at least up by January 1st. Update on the Spellcasters Volume 1 DVD and Blu-rays. We are still in a holding pattern on those. I apologize for the wait for everybody who's pre-ordered. We're still in a holding pattern on those. We're still waiting on the graphic design to get done for the artwork. It's taken much longer than expected. It's another one of those things, kind of like the internet stuff, that's just out of our hands. Save you the boring details. The long and short of it is, people that do this kind of stuff, do graphic design and stuff like that, they're busy. They have clients. Depending on the timing of when you hire them, or get them to do your stuff for you, whatever. Because I like to have my stuff done by individuals. I don't send it. Most of my stuff's been done by, I think a lot of my stuff's been done by listeners. Most of my cover art is most of the time done by listeners, and when they were done by me. I did a few of them, but some of the other ones were designed by people who were, listeners and stuff. But, these people have clients and they have workload and everything else, like everybody that does every job has. So we're on the list and we're waiting, but it's just going to be a little while longer before those are out. But that brings me to my other part, because I haven't announced this yet. I haven't even talked about this yet. The reason I wanted to get these films out so close together, being that it took me over a year to make Volume 1, which I thought was going to only take me a couple of months. It ended up taking like a year and a half. But when you watch it, you see why. And Volume 2 is going to be a totally different film, but so much farther down the rabbit hole. Just mind-blowing stuff it's going to be in it's blowing my mind, and I'm the one that's making it. It's crazy. That doesn't happen very often. Not very often does it happen where I'm going, holy shit, while I'm making something. That's what this is. But what I was going to bring up is that if we can get our goal here for Volume 2 achieved, meaning we get a minimum of 500 in here before the thing ends tomorrow, and then we get the other 1,000 we need in the next 2 weeks, If all of those things play out and happen that way, everybody out there who pre-ordered Volume 1 on disc is going to get a special 2-disc set that has Volume 1 and Volume 2 in it together for no additional cost. Meaning, this is contingent on us reaching our goal here for this fundraiser, which I think is totally achievable. I really think it is. I think we can pull this together. I think enough people out there, we've actually started to pick up a little bit more donations. I think we got another 100 in last night or today. So, but we just need more people out there to help and chip in on this. But, again, a minimum of 500 in the next 24 hours. And then we need to raise another 1,000 in another 2 to 3 weeks, somewhere around, the second week of December or somewhere like that would be great to raise the other 1,000. What we will do is everybody that's pre-ordered Volume 1, Blu-ray or DVD, you are going to get a 2-pack set that's going to have both the films in it, and you won't cost you anything else. You'll basically be getting Part 2 totally for free. But that'll only be for the people that pre-ordered the DVD and Blu-rays. And because that's something I haven't announced yet. I've never done this before, and it's something I'm actually going to do with these films. We actually are going to make a set. It has both films in it, and sell that once Volume 2 is done, and the rest of it, it's going to you'll be able to buy. You'll be able to buy them separately and individually, but you'll also be able to buy these special limited edition sets that have both films in them as well. We're going to be doing that. So everybody that pre-orders the Volume 1 is going to get the Volume 2 and that 2-set pack thing. So, but again, that's contingent on us meeting this goal for this film. We have to, it's such a small, we have $1,400 left, folks, to make this mind-blowing film. It's ridiculous. People always ask me how I can make a film for this small amount of money, and it really boils down to one thing. It's because I do it all. That's why you watch a movie and you see the credits are a mile long at the end. Every one of those names you see at the end of a movie, guess what? Every one of those names is somebody who got paid. That's the truth. Every one of those names is somebody that got paid. That's what that boils down to. So that's where all these huge budgets for these films go, is to paying all the individual people. But I do everything. The sound engineering. It's things like that people don't really take into account, from the sound engineer. Do you know how to run a sound audio engineering? A professional broadcast mixing board? Do you know how to set up cameras and lights and edit video and encode video and know what formats to encode it in and versus which ones not to encode it in, and then audio formats. It's, everything, every aspect and element of this is what I do. So that's why we're able to put these in the film. The quality just keeps getting better and better, and the just the look and the graphics and everything keep getting better and better. I'm so excited about that. The Volume 1 of Spellcasters is definitely a step up for us. Again, if you haven't seen that film, you need to go get yourself a download right now. And Volume 2 is definitely going to be a step up as well. So there you go. All right. Let's get into, what do we got? We got some crazy shit. That's all I'm saying. I think this is I think this story, really, we'll just start here. Because I think this is one that a lot of people have been waiting on. And I know for a fact they have, because a lot of people asked me about this. And to be honest, my answer to this question has always been, well, sure, anybody who gets in any upper echelon position of power, whether we know it or not, whether it ever comes out and whether it's ever made to light or not, the good thing is many of these cases have, and it's just startling and mind-blowing. I think people first started to get kind of an idea of this. There was a news clip that came out in 2009. It was on CBS News. It's been used a lot because it's just a solid gold clip. because it's one of those rare things where they let the truth slip out on TV for once. It's on YouTube. It's CBS News. You can just type Barack Obama and George Bush related, and you'll see this clip. It's got like a tree. The cover picture on the video is like a tree showing them connecting them all. And it shows, of course, what I've talked about literally since the first week I started doing shows in 2007, bloodlines, and how family lineages that trace back to the oldest civilizations on this planet still make up the people in the upper echelons of power running the planet today. And that nobody gets put in there without being, in some part, a part of these bloodlines. So, of course, that's been the question a lot of people have asked me for the past year is, Donald Trump one of these bloodline people? And, of course, without having really any basis for it, my answer was always, well, most likely. I mean, there's just no way around it. Yeah, I mean, when you look at the historical examples that we have of this happening in all these other cases, and you see that making it to the upper echelon in certain fields most of the time has nothing to do with talent. And it doesn't, and people say, well, it's not about talent, it's about who you know. Sometimes it's not even about who you know. Sometimes it's about who you are, and more importantly, who the people that are really running the show know who you are and who you really are. And I'm talking about family lineage. So this has really, I think, answered that question for a lot of people now. Soon-to-be U.S. President Donald Trump may get his assertive rather than passive manner from his alleged Viking descendants. Now, of course, if you've seen my Lost Secrets of Ancient America Volume 1 film, one of the things we get into that with Amorites and the whole lineage of the Amorites, going back to the Anunnaki and the Nephilim, and whether it be Vikings or Nordics or Aryans or Celts or whatever, we're really talking about the same people. They just had these different names in whatever area. They were nomadic people that traveled all over the globe. So for one period of time when they lived here, they were called Celts. One period of time when they lived in this part of the world, they were known as Vikings, but their lineage and their bloodline and their descendants go all the way back to the ancient civilizations, Babylon, Acadia, Sumer. And that's really what I show and uncover in my Lost Secrets of Ancient America work. Russian genealogists claim that Mr. Trump is a direct descendant of Rurik the Viking, who established the Russian state, while others believe it is his mother's heritage that may provide the Viking link. According to the nationalist newspaper Estonia World Review, Russian genealogist Aleksey Nikolov says Mr. Trump has ties to European royalty, but he claims Barack Obama is also a descendant of Rurik. So, with that in mind, so what he's saying here is that Trump is actually in the same bloodline lineage as Barack Obama. So when you go and watch that CBS News clip, Barack Obama, George Bush related, when they're telling you and showing you all the people that are connected in the bloodline, just add Bush to that. And add Trump to that. And you've got Trump, Bush, and Obama all related. It's fascinating. It is the bloodline stuff is fascinating, especially when I first started learning about. Well, I had seen what they had done in Afghanistan and what they had done in Iraq, and how we had been hearing, literally for decades now, every other fucking month, well, we're going to war with Iran. So when I first started to piece together the reasons why they really wanted to take over these ancient lands of the Middle East and destroy these ancient sites and keep this information from getting to the public so that we have no chance of finding out our true history about who we are and where we really came from, and because they would upend the established orders in the world, specifically with the phony state of Israel set up by the Rothschilds in 1947, and the knowledge of Judaism being completely taken lock, stock, and barrel from the Babylonian Talmud. The entire Talmud of Judaism is based on what previously came was the Babylonian Talmud, which they took lock, stock, and barrel and turned into Judaism. And of course, all their tenets apply to a completely different group of people that have been systematically eradicated off the face of the planet, with these imposters taking over the assumed role of the chosen people. So when I started finding out the agenda to wipe all these ancient sites and all this ancient history off of the planet, I started thinking about Iran, and I knew that okay, there's got to be something in Iran that they're after. Boy, oh boy. Have you ever actually looked into, because there is some footage. I would love to go to Iran. It's impossible, but man, I would love, especially for a white dude, like, man, yeah, possible. But they have Iran's like the last great vestige of, this is why that country, the people who live there are so closely guarded and protected, and why they are so portrayed in Western media and by Western governments as being this hellhole of the epicenter of the people that want to kill civilized people across the planet. And when you find out what they've got in Iran, and this recent thing about the possibility of these ancient giants being sleeping in Iran, just added to that. I mean, you don't even have to even add that to the equation. But once you think about it, it makes total sense when you go and look at actually what is in Iran. The archaeological stuff that's in Iran, it's the only place left on the planet that they haven't got their grubby mitts on yet. I suspect there's probably a lot of this in North Korea too. We know for a fact in China there's tons, but the archaeological treasures and whatnot that are in what's contained in Iran, the powers that be want their hands on it really bad. Really, really bad. And one of the things when I started researching this was I was looking into finding out about the Behistun inscription. And the Behistun inscription is this giant mural thing carved. I mean, it's impassable territory. It's difficult to get to even with the best technology, but then for someone to have somehow carved this massive scene. And let me let me stop real quick, because I know people are going to be emailing me. Behistun. It's called the Behistun inscription, or the Great Inscription of Darius at Behistun. Behistun. The Behistun inscription. Look that up and look at the pictures of this thing. You see the close-ups of it. You just, you're like, oh yeah, it's somebody, But essentially, what it is, it's very telling what it is. But it's about King Darius, and it's inscribed and signed at the bottom. I think it's inscribed about like Zeus or something like that. Anyway, it essentially talks about how Darius was the greatest ruler, over that area, and how all his bloodline descendants would be in charge of these 23 lands, and they all have these funky names. But when you go and look up these 23 lands, they're all like, Palestine, Israel, Iraq, basically everywhere where all the oil and natural resources are. And he talks about how his bloodline descendants are basically destined to rule over that whole area forever, no matter what. And that's the decree. And so when you start to trace back the Bush family bloodline, and the Bush family bloodline traces all the way back, not only back to Ramses II in Egypt, but then even farther back directly to the line of King Darius. This is the original, this Iran. Now, again, where does Iran or Iran comes from? Aryan. That's where the Aryans that Hitler was looking for, that's where they originate. That was Iran. That's where the name comes from. The people that inhabit the land of Iran now are not the original people who inhabited that land and gave it its name, because those people have been wiped off the face of the planet. So the Bush family bloodline traces back to King Darius. Again, the Aryans. I found this fascinating because, thinking about the Bushes and thinking about Saddam Hussein, and how Saddam Hussein, in the final days before the invasion after 9/11, was in the process of rebuilding King Nebuchadnezzar's palace. And he called himself, Saddam Hussein called himself, the reincarnation of Nebuchadnezzar. And King Darius once invaded Babylon. He slaughtered 3,000 Babylonians and crucified Nebuchadnezzar. George Bush, lineage of Darius. 3,000 killed on 9/11 approximately. And then what do they use it to justify? They use it to justify what did they do to Saddam Hussein, or at least somebody who looked very much like him? Modern day crucifixion. They hung him, in front of people. When I put that together and started realizing that's when it all just came together. All this modern day stuff that we see, it's all just it's a reflection of what was established in the very beginning on this planet. And I hate to bust your bubble, but Trump is no different from that. And finding out that he's in this bloodline, it's of the same bloodline as Bush and Obama and the rest of them, well, it just makes sense. It's just like I told you with, the CMP vetting Trump. And of course, we talked about Phil Schlafly and her lineage and bloodline and how they worshipped her like she was a goddess. And then you find out she was a Stewart and Bruce bloodline, two of the major bloodlines. She's both her mother and father were both of. Her mother was of the Stewart bloodline. Her father, I think, her father was of the Stewart, and her mother was of the Bruce bloodline. So, again, you see these connections to these groups, to these right-wing groups, to these individuals, to these people in power. You trace back the lineages, folks, and it all comes together. And then you start to really understand what power is, and you really start to understand this illusion of choice of power and your role in selecting it from people who were already pre-decided. And the rest of it's just window dressing to get you to react in a way that will allow them to achieve their agenda. And everybody's playing right into it right now, just as it's been planned. And I wish they weren't. Oh, we got so much news. Bear with me here. I'm trying to go through it all. Lots of, I don't even know if I'll be able to cover all these days, but for some reason out of nowhere, they're really kicking up the AI, computer, robots, or, stuff are going to take over and kill us all real soon. Really ramping the discussion of that up all of a sudden, which I think is fascinating. I mean, I've been talking about that for years, and I've done shows on transhumanism for years and years and years. But really, I mean, there's probably 6 or 7 stories I've got here in this stack today that are just those kind of stories. So I'll just hit every one of these quickly. Investors see artificial intelligence destroying millions of jobs. Investors believe it is inevitable that artificial intelligence will destroy millions of jobs, and the governments are unprepared for such an impact. Unprepared for such. No, they're quite prepared. They want it to happen because then it's going to give them more ability to have more control, and that's what all this is about. Killer Russian robot can detect a human from over 4 miles away before shooting them dead in an instant. Well, nice to see what they're cooking up to employ against the people once the full takeover by the Russians of our government happens. The device is said to be employed at the border and can be used from anything to detecting low-flying drones to targeting a vehicle from 6 miles away. A killer robot which can detect a human from over 4 miles away and shoot them dead could be implemented at the Russian border. The device will be used predominantly to detect low-flying drones and other potential aerial weapons attempting to cross the border. Yeah, I mean, once you listen, you can talk all that smack about, Russia will just use them at the border, right? You know, once you've opened the Pandora's box on a robot that can sense humans from 4 miles away and kill them autonomously with no person controlling them, it's game over. There's really no more discussion that needs to be had. At that point, the only discussion about that is how long will it take? Really, because once you're on borrowed time and time is running out, once you've unleashed the Pandora's box of artificially intelligently controlled robots that could sense humans from 4 miles away and kill them from 4 miles away, I mean, there's really not much left to say past that. I mean, you're so far gone and down the rabbit hole at that point. Once you create that and turn one of those things on, that's it. Pilot of passenger jet forced to put the aircraft into a steep dive to avoid a UFO that was too high to be a drone. An emergency over Canada that injured 2 cabin crew. This is insane. You guys hear about this? A UFO nearly caused an air crash over Toronto when a passenger plane with 58 people on board came face to face with the mysterious object. 2 flight attendants were injured when the pilots put the plane into a sudden nosedive to avoid a head-on crash. They later reported that the object, which appeared on their flight path, might have been a hot air balloon or a drone, but aviation experts voiced doubt over both those theories. The near miss yesterday has been officially put down to a UAV, an unmanned aerial vehicle, but one commercial pilot said on social media, a drone at 9,000 feet? I don't think so. Yeah, exactly. 20 years ago, a pilot seeing something unexpected might have reported a UFO. Today, it's a drone, but a drone, a 9,000-foot drone? The strange incident happened at Porter Airlines Dash 8 turboprop plane from Ottawa coming into Atlanta. Oh, well, first off, that must have been I bet that was, I bet there was some soiled britches in that plane. Because I'll tell you the truth, I'm not a big fan of flying anyway myself, really. But what I'm even lesser of a fan of, to the point where I just won't do it, is flying in one of those fucking turboprop planes. Nope. No reason to be using those. No reason. No fucking reason to be using those damn things. I mean, can you imagine? I mean, those things already they're dicey and they're fucking bumpy as shit. The turbulence is horrible in them. But if you're in one of those planes and you do a nose dive at 9,000 feet, the G-force, what you're going to be feeling if you're a passenger in that plane, you're probably going to think for at least 10 to 20 seconds that you're dead, that you're going to die. There's probably at least 10 or 20 seconds in your mind where you're probably thinking that this is it. Wow. But yeah, so that's the new swamp gas, isn't it? That's the new Chinese lanterns, or the new, whatever bullshit they've said for years. That's the new one. So now that we have drones, Instead of blaming everything on swamp gas and weather balloons, that's the other, weather balloons and Chinese lanterns. Now it's, well, it was probably just a drone. Yeah, you probably thought you saw a UFO. It was probably just a drone. Really? 9,000 feet, huh? Very interesting stuff there. In my new film, The Spellcasters, I have this whole section. We have a little clip of it up on YouTube of all of the earth-shattering, really, it runs right into our modern day events and happenings that occurred in 1947. And one of the things that happened, of course, that year was the discovery of the Dead Sea Scrolls. And I think it's been somewhat overlooked and probably at least not really considered, I don't think, enough, how that coincides, or the possibility of how it coincides, with things like the Roswell incident happening that year, the formation of the United Nations. That was really, when people talk about the New World Order and world government, that was really the establishment of that in 1947, coming out of the League of Nations and the rest of that. So I think when you look at all, stuff like the first supercomputer and the mobile phone and all the rest of the stuff being invented in 1947, and MK Ultra, Scientology being invented that year, I think that I've seen this coming for quite some time. I don't know why, and I can't really give you an honest answer other than it's just been a gut feeling. For a lot of years now, I've had this, I don't know, a gut instinct, I don't know how to describe it. Something, just an innate thing has told me that 2017 is going to be some kind of monumental year on par with 1947. And that would put it, 70 years? So next year will be 70 years, right? 70? Since 1947. Coincidentally, or maybe not coincidentally, coinciding with that, Israel has now launched a 3-year expedition to hunt for undiscovered Dead Sea Scrolls. Israel is embarking on a major archaeological expedition to find yet undiscovered Dead Sea Scrolls, an Israeli antiques official said on Monday. Amir Ganor of the Israel Antiquities Authority said a government research team will spend the next 3 years surveying hundreds of caves in the Judean desert near the Dead Sea, the arid region where the Dead Sea Scrolls, the world's oldest biblical manuscripts, were preserved for thousands of years and discovered in 1947. So I found that fascinating. I started thinking about that. I didn't really put it together before. I've had this sneaking suspicion that for some reason, I guess now with the Trump presidency too, it's probably more right on, and the stuff that we've seen being kicked up with. For some reason, I've seen 2017 being the big Civil War year on my radar for quite some time. Now, I could be totally wrong about that. It may not happen. Don't take that as a prediction. I'm not predicting anything. I'm just strictly telling you my innate gut feelings and whatnot. Those, take it with a grain of salt. But I like to share these things with you, especially, that's what I'm here for. Especially because, unfortunately, as many of you know, I'm often right about these things. And I don't get up here and, I'm not Chicken Little like fucking Alex Jones and every other goddamn way. The sky's falling apart. Jesus. But I think the discovery of the Dead Sea Scrolls, I think we're moving closer towards that, what I've talked about for quite some time. And that is this, the explanation for everything theory, I guess is what I call it. Where eventually they reconcile. That's what they want to do. They want to reconcile religion and science, and basically say that we have all the answers now. All the answers we ever had about where we come from, who we are, extraterrestrials, and the rest. We have all the answers. No reason to have any more discussion about it. Boom, this is it. It definitely seems like they are moving closer and closer to that. Another AI article here, how AI will take over the world. Researchers reveal the 4 ages of smart software that will take tech from game playing to self-awareness. And just another one of these typical articles where they're... it's very fascinating to read these articles because in some of them, they fearmonger the shit out of it, and in other ones, they downplay it to its lowest extreme. So what that tells me, and what that enables me to tell you, is that one way or the other, whether it's for fear-mongering and scaremongering, or whether it's for the attempt to downplay it because it's more serious than we think, either way, it's clear there's an agenda to get people feeling very strongly about the coming artificial intelligence revolution and robotics revolution, everything that of course, indeed are going to do away with millions and millions of jobs. But that's exactly what the powers that be don't want worker bees, man. They want willful, obedient slaves, consumers. That's their best target demographic. That's what they want. And this is what they believe all of this coming technology will give them, the ability to produce a more compliant and obedient citizenry. Is it already too late to ban killer robots? Researchers say autonomous weapons have and will become possible. Well, that's funny, isn't it? So this article says autonomous weapons have and will become possible. And then the other article says Putin's already got a fucking killer robot that can detect a human from 4 miles away and kill him. You see what I mean? So one end of the spectrum saying it's already here, other end of the spectrum saying that's coming, or that'll be here eventually. Definitely an agenda behind to get you feeling one way or the other behind this coming technology. And when we've seen these kind of things from these people so many times before, we've seen the fear-mongering end of it. So it's very well the reason for it is that. We've also seen the downplaying of things and them trying to get us to believe that things aren't as serious as they are, like GMOs and fluoride in water and, all the rest of this stuff. So this is definitely one that could go either way. But with that said, again, the proof is in the pudding that there's definitely an agenda to get you to have an opinion one way or another concerning the coming rise of AI technology and robots and what that's going to do to the landscape of not only the worker and the rest of it, but to all humans and everyone on the planet. Just off the coast of Sweden, researchers have discovered what is thought to be the submerged remains of an ancient Stone Age lagoon community. The findings include a 9,000-year-old pickaxe sculpted from elk antlers and 8 fish traps made of braided hazel rods. According to the researchers, the settlers that once lived there likely had good lives with plenty of food and a favorable climate, but their lagoon environment sank as sea levels rose in the centuries that followed. Since divers first discovered the oldest known stationary fish traps in northern Europe 60 years ago, researchers at the Lund University in Sweden have revealed the site to be a Stone Age relic. The researchers say that 9,000 years ago, this was an old lagoon environment where Mesolithic humans spent parts of the year. And the article, of course, refers to this as the Stone Age Atlantis. Then you read the rest of the article. There's no way. That's why I didn't read the headline, because I didn't want to bait you in with that like they baited me in with it. But it is interesting. I mean, it's an old thing. It's 9,000 years old, but anybody who knows anything about Atlantis knows it's well back before that. But that doesn't matter. They don't, I mean, the Daily Mail or whoever, they're not fucking going for historical accuracy here in the titles of these articles. This from space.com. Electronic ET. Intelligent aliens are likely machines. We've talked about that here quite a bit. Just like we would send a probe or something out to other planets, we're going to send something out to explore first before sending people there. Any intelligent civilization would do the same thing. So yeah, I think a lot of what people have described as these grays might possibly be biomechanical creatures and inventions and the rest of it. Any intelligent aliens that humans manage to contact probably won't look much like you or me, or the squid-like creatures in the new film Arrival. If an extraterrestrial species becomes advanced enough to send signals Earthlings can pick up, it will likely shed its traditional biological trappings and become a form of machine intelligence in rather short order, said veteran alien hunter Seth Shostak. Yeah, I'd have to agree. I think there's probably, who knows? I mean, we're carbon-based creatures, but when you look at all the interesting thing is when you look at the elements, I mean, there are elements that exist that aren't found on Earth. We've discovered some of those. But a lot of the same elements that are found on Earth are found in other places. So there are a lot of things that are common. So since we evolved as carbon-based creatures, there's definitely a possibility that, there are creatures that are evolved from metals or, other types of material. Rock even. I mean, who knows? But I think that's going to be another one of the key indicators when they get ready to launch the staged alien invasion scenario on us is, if they roll up speaking English and talking our language and they look like us, probably we shouldn't take this too seriously. We probably should be a little skeptical of that. Remember that V in V, the original V television series? Where the fuck do the aliens come down to first? They come and land on the fucking United Nations building. They're like, oh, they look just like us. Well, their voices sound funny. Yeah, that's because they're trying to fucking keep their reptilian shit under wraps. Coming down here to milk us dry for water and use us for food. Mysterious green and blue flashes appeared as the New Zealand earthquake struck. And it looks like an aurora. It's green and blue. It looks like an aurora. Well, case closed on that then. Everybody's been speculating, oh, the supermoon caused all these earthquakes. Well, looks like that was a harpquake. I think we can close the books on it. The whole sky, there's a picture right here. The whole sky is lit up green and blue. The High Altitude Aurora Research Project is a ionospheric heater. And that, of course, whenever they're firing up and doing it, it causes the auroral lights to flicker because of the magnetic, it's what it is. It's a giant, they use electromagnetic energy to bend the ionosphere. And then they can direct that anywhere they want all over the globe using these other facilities and whatnot. Like Arecibo in Puerto Rico is one. So no question about it. That's another one of those interesting questions, because it seems to me that they were trying to get people to have the opinion or the belief that this supermoon caused these earthquakes. You even heard conspiracy theorists and stuff running with it. But it appears that what they did is that they created these earthquakes using HAARP in order to get people to believe that these things are being caused by the supermoon. Now, why would they do that? Well, to me, it plays right into the whole thing of trying to continually get everybody to that breaking point. And with the Trump presidency thing just happening, and then, of course, the supermoon and earthquakes, it just reinforces that into the minds of people, that the end is near. And there's people running around thinking it's the apocalypse. It's the end of the fucking world because Trump got elected. Well, I mean, the Cubs did win the World Series. The Dallas Cowboys are winning. Guns N' Roses had the biggest, they made $5.5 million per show, the highest grossing tour of the year. And they went through it and didn't kill each other and got along, and they want to do it again next year. What? The best album that I heard that came out this year was by Megadeth. Dave Mustaine's, I don't like him as a person, but his lyrics in the new Megadeth album were the most on-point, relevant lyrics I read by any artist all year. Dave Mustaine. What does that tell you? Metallica put out, I haven't heard all the new album yet, but I heard like Hardwired for Self-Destruct. It's like old school. I mean, throw that in with the Donald Trump thing. I mean, yeah, maybe so. Maybe they're fucking right. The Cubs won the World Series just a year after. Of course, it was predicted they would win in Back to the Future 2. Remember that? On a holographic, clear, thin, see-through screen, which are about to be here as well. At the first of the year, I had created my Secret Messages films, Volume 1 and 2, with the Bowie and Kubrick stuff and the Monolith stuff in there. Get yourself an HD copy of that in our download shop. If you haven't seen that, go get it. And after all that X-Files stuff and all the stuff you see in there, I've wondered the rest of this year, because I knew after that somehow, at some point this year, I've been waiting. I just went, when's the Monolith going to make an appearance? I knew that Monolith was going to make another appearance. It was going to somehow, it was so prevalent at the beginning of the year, and I was thinking, well, whatever is going to happen towards the end of this year with this election and the rest of this stuff, this Monolith is going to come back in. And lo and behold, hold on to your tinfoil hats, because this is a good one. Alien hunters have found what they claim to be an unexplained shadow on Mercury, which is caused by a large structure. In a video posted on YouTube by Secure Force 10, viewers can see a black rectangular structure and a NASA photo of the Mercury surface, which conspiracy theorists claim could be an entrance of some kind. Well, no, it's a black monolith on Mercury, clearly, because you can see they're saying it's a doorway to something. No, you can clearly see the shadow of it on the rock, and it looks exactly like what the Freemason Buzz Aldrin described, and you can see pictures of that with the Phobos monolith. We talk about that in that Secret Messages Volume 2 film. It looks exactly like the Phobos monolith on the moon Phobos that goes around Mars. So there it is. Now, what it means and how it's going to play out, and does this play into the staged alien invasion scenario? I think it could. I think it very much could. With all that Christopher Nolan stuff and all that stuff I talked about in those films, go back and watch those again. I'm telling you that those were, even though I did those really quickly, I think those were some of the most important work I've done yet. And there it is. Bono becomes first man to win Woman of the Year award. Well, I mean, he's a cunt that has a vagina. Right? Am I wrong about that? I mean, we're all in agreement on that, right? I see people having a problem with this. Oh, how could they give Bono the Woman of the Year award? Well, why wouldn't they? I'm surprised it took this long. Bono is a cunt that has a vagina. Straight up. Woman of the Year award. Next, they're going to want to give Black Entertainer of the Year award to Eminem, and Whitey of the Year to Louis Farrakhan. I mean, fuck it, nothing. Let's just, yeah, that's how we're going to do. Somebody should do a skit or a comedy skit or something on that. That's how we're going to do. I guess that's their plan, right? For doing away with racial inequality is just to make it so fucked up and wacky and gender inequality that it's just so ridiculous that that's the norm. I really, as stupid and crazy and wacky as it sounds, I think that's the goal. I really think before it's over, you're going to see shit like I just described. You can laugh at it, and yeah, it's funny, but I really think that's what they want to do. Why else would they give Bono the Woman of the Year award? I think they just said, fuck it. We're going to, they won't let us have equality. We're just going to create equality by, giving people awards that they shouldn't qualify for. Let's give the Humanitarian of the Year award to, fucking Charles Manson or something. It's so whacked out and crazy. But again, Bono has a vagina and he's a cunt, so I guess it does kind of fit. So imagine this: Courtney Love and Hillary Clinton happen to run into each other and have a conversation because they both happen to be getting their hair done at the same salon at the same time by chance. Anybody believe that? Come on. Come the fuck on. We know Hillary Clinton was recruited by the CIA right out of college. Right out of college. Bill has always been the puppet, and Hillary was always running the show, even when they were back as in the governor's office in Arkansas for all those years. Bill has always been the front man. He doesn't run jack shit, never has. Courtney has, Hillary Clinton has been knee deep in the CIA and has been vetted and has been a full operating CIA asset since she got out of college. Courtney Love, her father was CIA, and he was the guy who provided the LSD via the CIA from the MK Ultra program to the Grateful Dead. In fact, Courtney Love actually appears, a lot of people don't know this, appears on the cover of a Grateful Dead record when she's like a little girl. And that's why. That's because her dad was in with them, and he was the guy that was. So, and I'll be discussing Courtney and showing her connections to another very famous alternative rocker, and be showing stuff that's never been put out, never been put together, even by people who claim to try to expose the death of Kurt Cobain. That's one of the things that we're going to have in the Spellcasters Volume 2, is we're going to be showing this connections to Courtney Love, the CIA, Scientology, all the rest of it, the real story and some of the real stuff behind the death. I mean, there's going to be a lot of crazy connections and connecting to somebody who's nobody's put together yet except me. And it says that the former First Lady even has a nickname for Courtney Love, calling her Court. That's interesting because that's something I've seen a lot. Anytime these elites they always have pet names for people who are in the power structure or in their circle, their secret circles. That's why you'd always see Bush. Bush always had like fucking, he had scatological nicknames for everybody. Brownie, Turd Blossom. Like, Jesus Christ. We know you're a bunch of butt boys, but I mean, can you like give your friends names that don't have something to do with shit? I guess you're knee deep putting it in some, Bush is over there putting it in somebody's pooper. I guess that's all they have to talk about. Skull and Bones at Yale, jerking off in the coffins. So, of course, not a coincidence here that you would have Courtney Love and Hillary Clinton just happen to be getting their hair done at the same time, the same salon, right? And she just happens to have a nickname for Courtney, like she's known her whole life and stuff, which she probably has. But I just love when you see those kind of glimpses into, the connections of these people that most people would just overlook. Most people just overlook that. Oh, a story about Hillary Clinton and Courtney Love just running into each other and blah, blah, whatever. No. See, that's very telling, because it's not a coincidence they would be there at the same time. And we both know they have connections to the CIA to the 10th degree. So very, very, very interesting thing there. Absolutely. All right, folks. Well, that's all the time we've got for today. TheGlobalReality.com is my website. Go there. Get your contributions in. Get your $100 contributions in so you can claim the $200 perk for our Spellcasters Volume 2 fundraiser now. And we'll have links to it here in the video on YouTube. Go and hit subscribe at TheGlobalReality.com. Get yourself a membership to the archives and get yourself some downloads from the store as well. Audiobooks, all kinds of great stuff in there. All my films. Hit it up. I'm Josh Reeves. Until next time, signing off.